Friends changed the course of our history. When Ross said we were on a break, couples to this day will say that when they go on a break.
So they invented toxic relationships?
Yeah, they invented toxic relationships, which is the heartbeat of America.
Seinfeld was an epic show. I mean, the protagonists were people that we would not get along with.
Realistic.
They transformed TV sitcoms. I mean, the Soup Nazi.
No soup for you. Hi, I'm Courtney Revolution. I love pop culture, and I may have been a Real Housewife in my past life.
Wait, what? Hey, I'm Jade Catta-Preta. I've been doing stand-up for 17 years, so this episode's really special to me.
Hey, I'm Monica Loomba. I'm a really big Friends head. It was iconic being a Monica in the 90s.
Hi, I'm Alyssa Sabo, and I like Friends.
Well, thank you guys.
I like having friends, I mean.
Guys, welcome to Rivals, a show where we take all our favorite, most nostalgic moments and we put them against each other in an outgoing battle of who's better.
Yeah.
You know? And this one is really close to my heart because as this immigrant little lesbian girl who always wanted to do stand-up, I saw Seinfeld and I go, oh my God, I can do this. And so here I am.
Just like that.
I remember literally, I was like, I'm going to go to America. I'm going to have a microwave.
Wow.
And I'm going to be just like Jerry Seinfeld. 17 years later, I've been touring the whole country doing stand-up and it couldn't have happened without Seinfeld. So this is very exciting. Today's episode is Friends versus Seinfeld, baby.
Friends, which also made me and Monica feel powerful enough to be the weirdos of the friend group.
Yeah, we got
Can you
Joey's,
imagine that? We had
got
Joey and
Phoebe's.
Phoebe.
We're going to get into all that.
We're gonna
but
get into
Friends
it.
literally made us who we are, the comedic timing, the sentimental moments,
It
the
changed our
build
lives.
of relationships. It's why we're best friends.
It's why we're best friends. It's why I've never had a healthy romantic relationship in my life.
Correct.
That's why you matched without even talking about your
Yeah.
outfits
We didn't even
beforehand.
talk about this and we're matching.
Very Elaine of you.
Monica. Okay, and just a quick disclaimer at the top. These are all of our opinions. Obviously, this is the show. It's part of it. We're rivals. We're pitting Seinfeld versus Friends. But, you know, we love both of these shows. These shows made us all who we are. But for the purpose of this show, we're gonna be coming after each other. It's gonna get messy. It's gonna get, you know, I'm gonna get into a fight probably.
You'll cry a little.
I'll probably cry.
All right, before we get to the episode, we have to back it up and we have to tell you guys who actually won last episode. Thank you guys for commenting and telling us how you felt. And so last week's winner was
Come on, drama.
MTV, of course,
Yeah.
baby. MTV, every day, all day.
Classic.
And
Iconic.
I figured that would happen. And you know what? But that doesn't matter because remember, Clay Aiken didn't win American Idol.
They're not okay.
Clay
They're
Aiken-
not okay.
Clay Aiken didn't win American Idol, but come on.
He's still like Woodstock. Like, what's going on? Not
Wait, Clay Aiken, the one that
He
looked like
was
a little like
runner-up.
an elf.
Kelly Clarkson
I'm just
won.
saying.
Wait, didn't Kelly Clarkson win that
Yes,
one?
she did.
No, but
No,
wasn't it
no,
Justin?
It was
Justin.
Clay Aiken. It was
And
Ruben
Ruben
Sutter.
Sutter.
Ruben.
The
They did that
soulful
movie?
teddy bear with a heart of gold.
Yeah.
He should have won.
Well, he did win.
He did win.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, Ruben got number one.
win.
Clay
That's
Aiken number
all-
two, but Clay kind of soared.
Kind of
and
stayed in our
Ruben,
hearts.
Ruben, where are you, buddy?
Yeah, Ruben, where are you? You should have been on one of these shows because we needed some diversity.
Yeah, we
Ruben versus Kelly Clarkson coming soon. Like,
Yeah, let us know, you guys. This show is really fun. It's the four of us, you know, battling it out. But we want to hear from you guys. Like, what are you feeling? What are some shows you want to put against each other? Some people you want to put against each other? Who do you like? Who do you not like?
It's time to get started.
Let's do it.
Let's do
Let's
it.
do it.
Hello, Jade.
Hello, Alyssa. Epic shows that shaped, I mean, we're all comedians. So
Yeah.
obviously we all love
y'all
these
are
shows.
comedians.
Well, you're a comic.
I get to laugh at y'all's jokes.
Courtney,
and
you're
comment.
funny.
Thanks.
Courtney, you're funny.
Thanks. I
Courtney, you're
try
funny.
a little bit.
Yeah, but like, let's set up the time, right? It was the 80s. Sitcoms were like these family sitcoms. Everything was like kind of goody two-shoes. And then comes along Seinfeld, this very popular stand-up comedian from the 80s. And they have a show about absolutely nothing that just becomes the most epic. I think it was like the most influential show of all time is what they said.
And I think it's
Who
interesting.
said that?
Somebody said it.
For me personally,
Yeah.
I feel like Seinfeld radicalized TV because Seinfeld really kind of set the tone for like having four main characters, these really strong character archetypes.
And I feel like they were like down for you to hate the characters because they are so unlikable sometimes. And like Jerry Seinfeld did situational humor, and I feel like he like really popularized that with that show. So we all were like, yeah, I feel like it bred a whole new style of
I
comedy
agree.
and
I
comedians.
think, now, I don't know about the timeline of this, but for me, George Costanza
Oh my God.
what he did to Julia Roberts in Pretty Woman.
No.
That like has always I don't know like which came first, Pretty Woman or Seinfeld. Probably Seinfeld. But anyways,
Probably
I was
Seinfeld.
always like so scarred by him, and I was like, he was mean to Julia Roberts.
Wait, can we fact check that? I would love to know
Yeah.
that.
Well, Pretty Woman came out in 1990.
Oh, so that's after Seinfeld.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I
And Seinfeld
saw
was 89.
Seinfeld after I saw Pretty
Oh,
Woman.
right,
so I
right.
was always like, that is. But you know what I mean? That's how a character, like your part in a movie, can really like change. Yeah.
But I
Wait.
feel like that's a really good point. Like the protagonist was always this lovely, sort of like unbreakable, like charming character
Yeah.
that we all loved and cheered for. But then we started to cheer for people that were like, oh yeah, he's an asshole, but he's right.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because sometimes you can tell that something even worse is going to happen. They created cringe TV. They
Yeah.
created
Yeah.
that form of TV where it's like, no, please no. Like it was visceral. Like it was a visceral experience watching. As in Friends was like a softer hit. You know what I mean?
Well, I do
Not
feel like
soft.
Seinfeld had like ego to it. It was very egotistical.
Yeah, they didn't want to. Yeah,
He wrote in that he was like a stand-up writing his own show. It was like Entourage. Like it's kind of like.
but he was a stand-up writing.
I know,
what do
but
you mean?
kind of like who cares?
it's
right?
like- it's
I
like
care.
so many
I
people
care. I
care.
want that.
No,
I wanted
it's
that
what-
my whole life.
It's what I always feel like I get made fun of for being genuine and sincere, and Seinfeld really led the way in that. oh, you're sincere.
Okay, we're going
you
a
have
little out of
genuine,
line.
you have a genuine interest in something, loser. And Seinfeld is the reason for that.
also, I just have to say, I feel like because there were so many women on that show,
Yeah.
like Elaine, iconic. But if you're a feminist, you watch Seinfeld and you think Seinfeld's better than.
Well, he
or
dates
you
a lot.
You watch Friends.
You watch Friends.
If you're
Yeah,
a
Friends is
feminist,
better.
if you're a
Sorry,
feminist, you
you're a
watch
feminist.
Friends
You watch Friends.
because
But I disagree because some would say, I don't want to say me because I really like the women in that. Some would say that the women were kind of like lighthearted and kind of all the same. And,
how
like,
are you going to say
sort of-
that about?
they
are
were
you
all
joking
kind of
me?
similar.
Bum,
Are
bum,
you
bum,
joking
bum.
me?
That was a bomb.
But-
Monica was the
can't
most
do
classic type A perfectionist OCD champion.
Yeah.
Not champion.
And well, she championed for. I like feel like I related
Yeah.
to all three of those
Sorry.
women.
Hashtag OCD
I'm
champion.
gonna
Yeah, so
Yeah.
she's
Yeah.
literally a George
Monica-
Costanza. She's literally like a very similar character.
But like, yes, no, she wasn't. Are you joking?
Yeah,
George
she was.
No, she wasn't.
he was
Monica
a perfectionist.
Was a chef. Okay, it doesn't matter. Monica was a chef.
Monica wasn't always a chef, by the way. She became a chef later on.
Duh.
Oh my god!
What are you
what
saying?
What
no,
if there
duh.
was a spinoff
What if-
with Phoebe and Kramer?
That would
and
be
they like
incredible.
dated. What if we like
No,
merged
Phoebe
those
would never
worlds?
date Kramer. Phoebe had
She
taste.
would.
Okay, she
Not
had
her.
taste.
Wait, also, did you know that the pilot originally didn't have Elaine in it?
Whoa,
What?
I didn't.
Yeah, and then they were like, "You need a female POV," and Elaine like makes that show.
I
Oh my god,
love
Elaine's one of my
Elaine.
favorite characters.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Like, I can't.
So, That's the 90s.
All right, so that's the early, so that's the
That's
first of
early
its.
Seinfeld.
Also, there was no show that was ever started with stand-up. Like stand-up was like kind of a booming art form in the 80s. And there was not like a lot of guys like Jerry Seinfeld. There was like, the big characters.
Yeah.
Like who was famous in the 80s, really? Andrew Dice Clay.
yeah.
Like
Mm.
Roseanne.
Rodney
too.
Dangerfield.
Yeah, it was a lot of
Yeah.
like these kind of aggressive male types.
Mhm.
He's like,
Mm-hmm.
like, and then comes on Jerry, this like Jewish sort of like, I'm just a guy. Like, and he
Yeah.
sort of started this whole brand of like white male comics. So you, Jerry Seinfeld. If you're watching this,
But I
it's
like
your
Jerry.
fault.
I like Jerry because I felt like Jerry was like, we all know Jerry.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I feel
Yeah.
like that's why Seinfeld was a little bit more realistic and easy to like connect to.
Mhm.
You know,
There's also that moment I feel like whenever Jerry would like do something or like something messed up would happen, someone would cut in line, a bathroom situation, and there's that second where he goes, am I gonna say something? And then he was like, I gotta say it.
say
Like,
something.
You know that
Yeah.
guy where you're just like, okay, I think relax. I think it's like not your job to like correct society's weirds.
Mm.
I mean, I think that it's, Mary Tyler Moore was a show that changed the trajectory for women in
Yeah.
the 70s because it was like this working woman. Did Jerry really do that? He just kind of came on there and was like, oh my God.
I know, I think he just
So is it
stereotyped
really
it.
that
Yeah.
good? Is it really that good? Like
know.
Seinfeld, I know what you guys are all saying. It was amazing. But like, was it? Because
Yeah.
I think that it's like the show about nothing. And obviously, I'm here to kind of be against Seinfeld.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, it really did kind of encourage mediocrity.
It is
amongst white
it's a
men.
mid show. It's a mid show about
let's
the
get into
mid
that.
man.
Let's get it. Let's
Let's
get
talk
into the beginning
about
of
Friends.
Yes, Friends.
So I feel like Friends like juxtapose came after Seinfeld. Obviously was in the same like time slot,
Yeah.
but
Mhm.
expanded group of friends, New York, kind of like the same basis. But
Yeah.
I feel like Friends was like more friendly, wholesome. Like even the comedy was like less sarcastic in that way. Like the whole show wasn't sarcastic,
like a
but it was
little
like
more
friends.
genuine.
Yeah.
And I think too, like the characters having like 3 women that were like fully formed, different personalities, and then 3 men that, you know, I mean, honestly, the women for me are really like what make Friends.
Yeah,
and
I
like.
agree.
So it's like you can't necessarily say like one person is the lead, but obviously it's probably Rachel Green. She's probably like the lead.
She's
you know?
probably like,
well,
I don't
she
know.
is.
I feel like Monica led a lot of the episodes.
No,
I'm more
it's
of a
all
Monica.
based around Rachel Green.
Yeah,
because
she was the
it's
one
all
that lost
about
the
her.
weight.
Like, yes,
right. Yeah.
No, but Rachel Green in the pilot episode leaves her dentist
She's getting
husband.
married.
It's like her.
Yeah.
She's like, it's like her story, and then everybody kind of is like around
It's
her.
like built around it.
But yeah, I think it was just like, to me, it was obviously there was still a lot of kind of like nothing plots and stuff, but it just, I always prefer shows that are more sincere because I'm a sincere person.
Mm-hmm.
And whenever there's a show where it's just like everybody's just like, oh, what's going on? Nothing.
Her Seinfeld episode.
I'm like, wait, what?
Seinfeld.
I feel like also Friends made all these like iconic moments, which we'll get into, obviously. But I feel like there's so many more with Friends because it's so much more relatable, and the cast is so much larger. Like they cover like 6 different types of people, and there were just like more
6
people
different type of white people.
6 different types of white people. But I
Yeah.
like, for me, what, like, I guess I just also do have more of a like a nostalgic connection to Friends because when I think I was probably like, you know, in elementary school, and I just remember watching Friends with my sisters and being like, I remember being like this close to the TV.
Yeah.
Like I was so obsessed.
Why are you so damn close
I
to
don't
the
know.
TV?
I had explained
I needed glasses, first of all. But I remember getting so close to the TV. I was just like mesmerized because I was
It
like,
was colorful.
look at these adults and their
Yeah.
outfits and everything about it. And Phoebe changed my life.
Yeah.
Like that character made me be like, oh, I can be the weirdo. And like, cause I've always been a little like on the fringes. And I remember
We're
like,
gonna get into that.
I
We're gonna get into
remember
that.
like seeing this show and I would just be like dying laughing to the point where like we have this like moment where we were watching it and I remember laughing so hard that my like grandma came in and she was like, you got to turn this off. You guys are way out of control. But I just remember those were like, it was just the funniest show in the world.
Yeah.
And like,
It was
I
also
don't know.
like
yeah.
a weird time to be a Monica in the 90s. Yeah, there was the Monica Lewinsky stuff. Like it was just like a weird time. And then Friends came out and it was kind of like, I am proud
We're
of
back,
you.
It
baby.
kind of made it like hot.
Like you're not coming
Yeah.
you're not coming
Thank
a
you
blue
for
dress
saying that.
anymore.
Yeah.
Like
No,
you're a
now
chef.
I'm like Friends,
Yeah.
Monica. It's different battles for sure.
Yeah, kind of looking back, I'm kind of mad at Seinfeld now because like I always wanted to be like the one girl who got to hang out with the guys.
Right.
And like it sort of
Yes.
made it this thing where like you couldn't have more than one girl in a setting. Like in a weird way.
Oh,
like,
are you switching over already?
Wait.
no, I'm not
I was
switching
like, what
over
the
already.
hell?
I'm
We
not.
got
I'm gonna
her.
keep fighting.
We're 5
But
minutes in
honestly,
and we
as a
got
Jerry
kid-
it.
gonna do you just like how he did
As
Kesha.
a
No hug for
kid,
you.
I watched that show and was just like, oh my God, one day I'll get to be a stand-up. I'll get to go to this diner. I'll hang out with my friends. Like I'll just have this like, what's the deal with this life
Well,
kind
and
of
did
life.
you
And-
feel like when you first started doing stand-up, were you kind of doing an impression of Jerry Seinfeld?
No, I wanted to
Oh.
do complete opposite. Like I was never into like observational comedy, which is interesting because Friends just came out in Brazil like last year, and I'm
Whoa.
exaggerating. Obviously, it came out like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But like when it came out, it was like a huge hit in Brazil, and stand up is brand new there, and so they're still like in comedy in the 80s. Like comedy is brand new, and you can
Wow.
tell.
Yeah.
Like all the
Oh,
comics
that's
are
so
like,
interesting.
so what's the deal with this thing? And what's the deal with that thing? Like
Yeah.
it's still in that observational phase.
Wait, you know that like everyone was learning English from Friends
Oh,
around
yeah.
the world because it was on Netflix first, like
Yeah.
right after,
Mm-hmm.
and like there's Reddit threads of people just like that's how
That's
they
how
learn.
they learn
And that's like all those
English.
jokes and situational stuff. Like it was so easy for them.
Yeah, and it's easy enough for everyone to relate to, right? Like
yeah.
the situation, it's not Euphoria. You know what I mean? Like it's like we're going to a
Not the
diner.
lashing for you.
No, but you know what I mean. It's not these like whimsical storylines.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
everyday story plots that we can all kind of like get along with. And it was like about the city of New York too. I love how that was a character on the show. Like they always kind of felt cold. Like there was.
Yeah.
Are you
and I-
talking about Friends or Seinfeld?
I'm talking about Seinfeld now. Like
Oh.
they're all kind of in blazers all the time. Like
Yeah. I
agree.
my love of blazers definitely started.
That's
Did
true.
it start
And
from Elaine? Because she
yeah.
always had a
Friends,
blazer
even though
on.
it took place in New York City, they were usually wearing short sleeve shirts. There wasn't
Yeah,
as
they
many
were.
blazers.
Yeah.
It was very like nips out. Okay.
People came for Friends because they were like they're never working. And I'm like, it's a TV show.
Yeah, but they had jobs on Seinfeld.
But that apartment is like that's a gajillion
But they
apartment.
wasn't it like rent controlled or Monica got it from her grandma or something?
There was no explanation of why that purple door icon.
I also just thought I thought it was so cool to see these 6 people that are all very different economic status as well. Yeah. Obviously, Joey was a struggling actor. Phoebe was, homeless at one point. And working all these different jobs. And then Rachel was a struggling waitress who literally left behind like this rich dentist husband. So those 3 were in like a lower tax bracket. And then you had like Chandler. I don't even really know what he did. I know he was in charge. He was the boss.
Chandler
and then you had
was
Ross,
like
who was a
guy.
paleontologist. And then of course Monica, like a chef. And then, but the fact that they were all still able to like be best friends and they were just so different. Also like, intellectually wide, like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Joey didn't know who like Joseph Stalin was. Oh yeah, Joey's like the idiot. But they were still, and I thought that was so cool to see like, oh, they're so different, but they like really would like, they're going to be there for each other. And I just remember like, I didn't really always feel close to my family. And so I always like dreamed of having friends like that. Because I was like,
Listen,
we're gonna get into it. And I think I have it, with you guys.
Did you guys know that when the pilot of Friends came out, the reviews were like horrific?
Really?
Yeah, like I did a show called Manhattan Love Story, and like our pilot had really bad backlash. They were like, the women are dumb and the men are like men, and so he sent us the review for Friends for us to read it, for us to feel better. And it was like, that Joey character is like a misogynist and like nobody believes that they would be friends and like and like Rachel's a ditz and like they were like aggressively bad, and so it's so funny that after that they're like one of the most popular shows on TV of all time.
And I feel like Seinfeld kind of like put the bad people in the forefront in general. Like sometimes they weren't always people that we rooted for, but it still doesn't make for like a bad comedy. I feel like that's realistic to me. Sometimes I feel like Friends was almost kind of like aspirational for some people, but it wasn't aspirational for me, especially because I could never.
They were not all good
compared to Seinfeld. I feel like
they're a little brighter as characters.
Monica one time accidentally hooked up with a 17-year-old.
Wait, which Monica are we talking about?
Not Monica. Monica Geller. Monica Geller. She didn't realize because the guy lied about his age. And then he was like, I'm a senior in high school. And she was like, oh. So like, that's not a perfect character.
Yeah, but I understand there was more like whoopsie-doo-doo versus like, hey, like there was a little more of a whimsical, like things were not as, I don't know, it was less heavy,
Sure.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
All right. What do you guys think? Like people at home, like, what do you think? Like, are you a Seinfeld head? Are you a Friends head? Do you know the songs?
Do you live in reality or do you live in a daydream? Let us know in the comments now.
So let's move on. Let's move on because we've set it up. Both shows are amazing. But like, let's talk about TV moments that have stayed with us until now. Like people are still quoting these shows. I mean, okay, best episodes of Seinfeld.
Obviously, for me, the Soup Nazi episode. Sure. I feel like I personally relate to the Soup Nazi because I like things very particular. Basically, the friends, they're trying to get some soup. And that's the tea. That's the tea. They're trying to get some soup. And the Soup Nazi likes things very particular. You have to order your soup a very particular way. And we see what happens when some of the characters do not order soup the right way until the queen, Elaine, through a series of fortunate/unfortunate events, gets the recipes to the Soup Nazi, and it ends with like her screaming in his face, like she's like trying to end his career.
She had the soup recipes. Yeah,
iconic.
Iconic. Elaine dancing, obviously for me, like that always comes up. Just man hands. The naked episode where Jerry's dating a girl and she's like nudist, but then it all gets messed up because she's opening a jar or something.
How about the episode where they all are trying to be the last person to have sex?
No, the last person to masturbate. Yeah. And that was really like iconic because
that's us.
Up until then, it was very hard to get any kind of sexual content on TV, especially like on a sitcom.
Back then.
And so they really pushed the envelope of like, like Larry David, who is the creator of the show with Jerry, like of how much they could get away with still like being under the covers with it.
Yeah.
I guess it is. I will say, like, even just like the soup episode, it is cool that they can make a whole episode about ordering soup. Yeah. Like, I have to be honest, that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Memorable.
Seinfeld was an epic show. I mean, these people were, we didn't like these characters, okay? They were like, the protagonists were people that we would not get along with.
Realistic.
And then these characters they transformed TV sitcoms. I mean, the Soup Nazi, like till today, people are like, they still say no soup for you.
No soup for you.
So
why is Seinfeld just only complaining? I think Seinfeld only
that's
complains.
because
That's
it's a
human
new
nature.
type
We
of
want to complain
show.
sometimes.
Radically changed the course of our history when Ross said we were on a break. Couples to this day will say that when they go on a break.
Yes.
So they invented toxic relationships?
Yeah, they invented toxic relationships,
Yes.
which is the heartbeat of America. Without a toxic relationship, life is boring.
I mean, but the most iconic toxic relationship was Kramer and Seinfeld. I mean, they hated and loved each other all at the same time. He was a character that you hated. He was annoying. He would mess things up. He was always like,
that
doing
was one.
things
We
wrong.
had two, Joey and Phoebe. We had Joey and
But they
Phoebe.
were all like that.
We had two
Elaine was like
two
that.
wild cards, Joey
Wild
and
cards.
Phoebe. We had the two stable people, Monica and Chandler, who ended up getting
No, they
together,
got
which was
married.
amazing.
They got married.
And then you had the two heartthrobs, I guess, Ross and Rachel, who had this on
I'm
again,
sorry,
off
wait,
again.
can we back it up? The heartthrob Ross?
Yeah,
Yes,
so
like
in
the
the
Zoomer.
universe.
He is. He
Come
set the
on.
stage for the
The
OC,
scientist?
Seth Cohen. Yeah.
Yeah, and that
he
made
was the OG Seth Cohen. What are we doing?
Smart guys can be hot too, and that's that's amazing. And nobody was doing that.
Look, maybe Seinfeld weren't as hot of people. Okay, maybe they weren't as hot, but
They
maybe
didn't have to
they
be
were
hot because
people.
they were funny.
They were funny.
hot. Nobody said they weren't hot.
Yeah, they're hot.
Okay, well, I
Were they
didn't
hot?
say
Let's
they were
be
hot. They
real.
were
Was
hot.
hot.
I think George pulled in the 90s.
He did pull.
Yeah,
he
he
did
did.
pull.
in the
Julia
90s.
Remember when he had sex at his job with the maid? Am I wrong?
I think I'm like
Cute,
sure you
cute.
have that, but like Friends to me
Yeah.
is like the way that like Phoebe, Monica, Chandler, Joey, Ross, Rachel, like these characters are like cemented in pop culture in a way that is like next level, and it beats the episode about ordering soup. I mean, like
Oh yeah, give us some
we are all
moments.
trying to get to that moment where Ross is in the bathroom trying to put on his leather pants. TV peaked when Ross couldn't get his leather pants back on, and you know I'm right.
Yes.
Look,
And
TV
nobody can
changed
deny it.
when we were in the cab, and George was finally gonna get some, and then the cab runs over a pigeon and kills it. What's the likelihood?
When Monica has to get peed on because she got stung by a jellyfish. I mean,
That's a
the
good one.
comedic timing in that, it just, you can't
When
recreate
Joey
it.
walks in wearing all of Chandler's clothes,
Yeah.
nobody can top that moment in TV.
Who
He's
laughs
wearing
thinking
all,
about a
he's
scene?
wearing
Who laughs?
every single layer of Chandler's clothes. That to me, you've never seen it before, folks. Never been done before.
Guys, what about having a sandwich during sex? I mean, when does that happen?
Yeah,
Never.
that is pretty
That's-
cool.
I want
But
to thank
don't
you.
know
I want
about
to thank them for normalizing that moment.
I agree.
Honestly,
Yeah.
because
That is
that
pretty
has changed
cool.
my life personally.
But I didn't know that. That's not as
What
like
about when
revolutionary.
Kramer? Yeah, that's you forgot the sex
I
sandwich
didn't know.
episode.
I mean, that's a cool thing. I don't. It's not.
It's
It's,
really
not in the
cool.
zeitgeist the way that
It
the way that
normalized
Friends
it.
is.
It's definitely in the zeitgeist. Also, you can go, what's the deal with? And everybody already knows you're talking about Seinfeld.
But that's
There's
because of
nothing
Jerry
more iconic.
Seinfeld's comedy career, not because of the show.
no, but the comedy career and his show.
Oh.
What are you guys doing?
Like, will we not have the show
Sorry,
without the
sorry.
comedy
Like
career?
the episode where like Phoebe is trying to seduce Chandler,
Oh my
and then like
God.
but they because it is also just so fun. All of the like they don't know that they're dating, and we don't know that they know. Like I just live for that. That's like what
Yeah.
sitcoms are all
Yeah.
about, where it's like, oh, he doesn't know, and then
Tension.
she's like trying to like seduce him, and it's so good. And like I will say, Ross becomes more in like later seasons. Ross becomes more of like a caricature and like a sketch actor in some ways.
yes.
He like in
Leather
the beginning
pants. Yeah.
seasons,
Oh my
he's like
God.
very kind of like more grounded and like not as like goofy, but then
Yeah.
he like turns into this like the leather pants, obviously.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, leather pants are like cool, and they were like,
Yeah.
you have to wear leather pants.
And
to be
then
like,
so he
cool.
needs to take a break from cuddling because he gets too hot and he goes to the bathroom. He takes his pants off for some reason to like cool down. And then he calls Joey and he's
He
like,
can't
I
get
need
him back
help.
on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he
he can't get him back on.
And then
Because
yeah.
the pants have either
They-
shrunk
wasn't
or
there
he's
powder or
expanded.
something?
Yes, yeah, there's
yeah.
lotion, there's powder.
Powder.
And Joey's like stupid and he's like, yeah, try powder. Or, like, yeah, try the lotion.
And like Ross, I feel like the other thing too, I don't know if like you guys remember this episode,
Yeah.
but like seeing Ross deal with, there's just like a little moment where he like, I forget like which actually episode it is, but he is like opens his suitcase and then it's like there's shampoo everywhere, and it's just him being like shampoo explosion. I don't know if I'm
he
allowed
was
to say
just
that.
he's
Like,
just
he was always dealing
panic,
with like
yeah.
and then
or the one they're like stayed at that hotel and
Mhm.
they like wanted to make it worth their money. So they like stole a bunch of
like mini
like mini
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
like sheets,
Yes.
and then they're almost out of there. They like almost got away with it, and he sees this bowl of pine cones. And
he's
they're like,
"Has to have
leave
it."
the pine
Yeah.
cones.
Well, and
like, we
the-
can get
leave
that
it.
outside. And he's
Yeah.
like, no, I have to. And then
The
their
other
bag
thing
explodes
too
everywhere.
about Friends that's better than Seinfeld in many ways is like there's storylines that like you follow. Whereas like Seinfeld, I feel like I've watched like, you know, Seinfeld, and there's like, I was telling you guys, there's like an episode where Jerry buys a really expensive coat and he loves
Yeah.
it. But then it's like you never see that coat again. Whereas like with Ross and Rachel, obviously the saga.
You don't
of,
care
like,
about a standalone.
And then Chandler and
Yeah.
Monica, like their dynamic. It's like it's so you're so in it, you're
builds
engaged,
nostalgia,
and it's
yeah.
like weird, it's crazy, it's funny. Phoebe's like, you know, brother, Phoebe's like twin sister.
Ursula.
But like all of these characters are
Yeah.
kind of like,
That's funny.
and it's like building. And I'm more like that is the world I want to
I
live
don't
in.
like the building, actually. I think
Right.
that Seinfeld is good because anybody could watch it. Like, I can't just like turn on a regular
No, yes, you
random
can.
episode of Friends and like get into it. But Seinfeld, like, for example, the soup episode, like I could just turn that on and like kind of figure out the dynamics
middle, end.
and understand the story.
And,
but
like,
with
zone
Friends,
out.
there's so much lore. There's so many seasons.
That's part
It's
of it.
so long that with Seinfeld,
It's not
I
that
can
long.
get the series is a long
Oh,
series.
yeah. Seasons.
With Seinfeld, I can kind of like pick in season 2, pick here, season 7, and like still have the same amount of fun. But
Right,
with
because
Friends,
you're mentally stable.
I don't want to.
Yeah, and, like,
I don't want to feel confused. when I
really
watch.
depressed girls want the night.
Yeah,
How
they
many
need
seasons?
depressed
I
Nine?
want that.
girls,
I want to know what they're
And,
doing.
like,
Like, even now, I'm
22
like, where are they?
22 episodes per season.
Yeah, me too. I need that. Also, okay,
like
let's
Gilmore
just
Girls.
blur out
Yeah.
like some iconic moments. The break. We were on a break.
So there was also the one where Ross's ex got married to a woman.
lesbian.
Right.
Fun.
And if I'm not mistaken, it is the first primetime lesbian wedding.
Is
which
it?
is
Was
yeah.
there not an
I
Ellen
would not
wedding?
know.
No, Ellen came out 2 years after that episode aired, and then it like really gave. And then I think Will and Grace also
I could have
came
chills
out.
Iconic.
because they had that
That's-
little baby too together, Ben.
Yeah, Ben. Well, I think
Wait,
also
how do I remember that?
Ross, there was a lot of really cool wedding stuff going on with Ross.
Yeah, let's go through it. Let's go through it.
I mean, then there's the amazing scene where Ross is getting married to Emily, which I hated Emily. I feel bad saying that, but you know,
Wait, why do you
Emily.
feel bad saying
well,
that?
because yeah, I just feel bad.
You were supposed to hate her. That's
yeah,
how they wrote her.
and
She's
like they
annoying.
wrote
Yeah,
her
she's
annoying,
not
and it
Rachel.
made me kind of be like, British people are always going to try to steal your man. But Ross says Rachel's name at that wedding, which is like that is perfect TV.
forgot
You
that.
cannot
That's
write
goosebumps.
a more incredible and the reason why it's also so perfect is because of which you hate the lore, but like the buildup of Ross and Rachel, and like I think that the buildup of Ross and Rachel, I don't think we've ever seen anything like that before, and that is now that's like the model now for like New Girl, The Office, like
Right.
there's all that like relationship tension and buildup, and I feel like Friends, I don't know, this is like maybe conjecture, but I feel like they were the first sitcom to really do that, to really build this like storyline
No, because there was
of like
a little bit of like, will they, won't they, within Seinfeld as well. And also, like,
not really.
Every sitcom was about a guy, a girl. There's tension. There, like, this was finally something not about that. Like, it's not
Yeah,
about weddings.
I don't
it's
wanna
not. It's
predict
about
what's gonna
It's
happen
about single
eventually.
people living in New York City and dating. And like, I would say that they set things up for Sex in the City in a weird way.
Sex
because
and the
it
City's
was like
pretty iconic.
kind of about like things that would happen out in the city. These
Mhm.
characters were built. Let's talk about the characters that they built. I mean, every celebrity that's ever known mankind was on Seinfeld, also on Friends.
Bryan
Okay,
Cranston
yeah.
was on Seinfeld.
I mean, yeah, these little appearances would like make your career just from being on there. The fur jacket. I mean, I just love the Jewishness of it all too. Like it was just about this little part of New York with like these people
Yeah.
who just like you couldn't stand, but you wanted to be their friend all at the same time.
Yeah, and the like Judy Geller is also Jewish, and
Sure.
what was the dad's name? Mr. Geller.
I mean, parents.
yeah,
Let's talk
yeah,
about
yeah.
Jerry's
Oh my
parents.
God,
Iconic.
Jerry's
Yeah,
parents.
Jerry's parents.
parents.
Well, Ross and Monica's parents were amazing.
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
Wait, who was Chandler's girlfriend that was like
Janice.
Janice.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. Like, Friends had not only were the main characters amazing, and like I based my personality around Phoebe Buffet, but also the side characters. Like Gunther is iconic. He was just like this. He worked at the coffee
Oh, yeah, he
shop.
loved
He
Rachel.
barely said anything, and but it's everybody knows Gunther, and you all have a Gunther in your life.
Yeah, but
that guy, you
Seinfeld
don't really
had
know
those.
who he is. You know, he's never
Yeah, like
said
who?
anything.
I mean, look, George Costanza's boss, who we never saw,
Oh,
was
yeah.
like such a funny
was
character.
funny.
Like we just saw his like hand and like his mustache sort of sometimes. What was his name?
Notice how I'm not saying much, y'all, because there ain't no black people on the shows like that. I just wanted to point that out. And you could go ahead and point out your one little character if there's any, but they weren't really prominent, which is why me as a person, I couldn't really connect to Friends or really Seinfeld so much. Yeah. But I can agree that both shows were like very cute and groundbreaking for the sitcom genre. And I definitely related to Seinfeld way more. I was just always looking for myself in the shows, and I couldn't really find myself in any of them.
Which character did you relate most to in Seinfeld?
Probably Elaine.
Yeah,
Elaine's pretty cool.
Wait, you know that Oprah like had the whole Friends cast on? I feel like in interviews they say like that's when the moment they knew that they were like famous and it was gonna blow up. But Oprah was like, I would love y'all to have a black friend.
Y'all live in New York City. Y'all don't know
look
black
up that
people.
clip because their faces in that are so funny.
Was it their fault?
No,
they didn't. They probably, I don't think it was like their like choice. But,
yeah, but it's such a bad example. Yeah. Like these kids are watching Seinfeld, they're watching Friends, and it's like I'm gonna be in New York and Manhattan and just have white friends. Like it's such an unrealistic.
True. I just wanted to point out why I personally couldn't connect to either show as much as you guys all can.
Okay, so you're in Elaine.
I'm very much in Elaine.
I think I'm a Kramer or a Monica. What about you guys?
I'm definitely a Kramer, Phoebe. But I can Phoebe. Mask for like a Monica. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm definitely a Phoebe. I always felt that way. Like in my friend groups, I've always been kind of the person that's like kind of in a different world. But that's why like I think Phoebe, Lisa Kudrow in general, was like so revolutionary because she did it perfectly. She was able to kind of just like be in every episode. And like, I know there's like an episode where like she doesn't believe in evolution. She's like, well, I just don't believe it. Yeah. And Ross is like, what do you mean you don't believe it? And she's like, well, I don't. Okay.
Is Phoebe the original anti-vaxxer?
Yeah, she might be. She definitely would have been anti-vax. Like, but you know what? We love her. She wears beautiful necklaces.
Smelly cat.
Yeah.
Power outage in New York.
But guys, like
she's non-dairy. It wasn't even cool to be non-dairy.
She was vegetarian. Yeah. She was a vegetarian.
Like Gwyneth Paltrow.
Who are you guys at home? Like you're sitting at home. Like I know you're screaming it out. Like tell us who you related to the most. Like what character were you? What character do you think we are? Like that's kind of fun.
That's a really good question.
Tell us who we think.
Who's Joey?
Yeah, so Seinfeld had a lot of side characters that we looked forward to seeing, like George's parents, Jerry's parents.
I like George's
Elaine's boss, the hot one. Elaine's boss, the old one. And then we had Newman.
Newman was iconic.
Like anytime you have a crappy neighbor, that's Newman. Like they've become people in your life, and we looked forward to seeing those characters like be rewound. Like and TV is so different now. It's like everything's kind of just given to us. Like we had to wait for this to come on live for then. I don't know. It was I just missed that kind of
also,
TV.
Do you remember the moment Kramer had a self-tanner thing, but he was like using like chicken basting and then he got really like sunburned?
He's disgusting. Remember when he was really
Monica, are you team Friends?
I'm sorry. There's another moment that just came to me when he loved taking showers and he didn't want to leave the shower and he's like washing his lettuce in the shower and eating in the shower. He just becomes obsessed with the shower.
Yeah. The Seinfeld characters to me just didn't like hit as hard. Anytime I watched Seinfeld, I was always like, all right, I felt a little empty. But when I watch Friends, like at the end of each episode, I just feel like, I just had a Thanksgiving dinner. Whereas like Seinfeld feels more like you eat a salad and a side salad and then you're still hungry.
Also, Friends just penetrated culture in a different way because like, okay, the theme song, right? Which I cannot sing, but you're singing it in your head.
Yeah.
That became a -- hit.
Yeah.
Re-recorded by Rembrandt. For like a year.
Yeah, but you hear
like
the
Seinfeld.
But you hear the Seinfeld. Yeah, you hear the little.
Yeah,
I can't do it. But like you hear that, and immediately you know that feeling that like.
That feeling of it wasn't a number one hit. And to be honest, you play that. Was a number one hit. Play that whenever one of your friends like bombs. Like if someone says something and it doesn't go well.
How do you know that?
Yeah, that's what my friends do whenever I make a joke and it doesn't land. They play the Seinfeld hit.
They do?
Yeah.
So they care about you and quality. So that's why they play it.
No, but I'm just saying like there's something about like, I don't know, like Phoebe's brother, Frank Buffet, you know what I mean? Like he just like, he gets under your skin and he's like he's like a full, they were doing like Oscar level acting on the show. Friends. It was
I'm gonna have to cut you off
it
there.
was really good. No, and like whatever Rachel and Ross, like when they kept missing, like missing each other. Like Rachel, like Jennifer Aniston's acting in that is so good. Like it made me be like, wow, you know, like the way that she was just like when she goes to the airport to pick up Ross and she's about to tell him, this is like season 2.
Yeah.
She's gonna tell him that she loves him and that she's like in love with him. And he's there with Julie, who he, you know, when he was in China, he comes back with a girlfriend. And she's there and she just, it's like, you feel it. You feel that heartbreak in a way that I never felt that when I was watching Seinfeld. Sure. And
it's not a heartbreak show.
Well,
I don't want to feel heartbreak.
I
want to get out and finish my dinner.
It's a funny show that kind of like, it leaves you kind of wanting more for that reason. Like it is an amuse-bouche. You know what I mean? It's just a little bite. It's a little moment in time. Like
I
that
get
we can all relate to. Like
the best appetizer.
And it's so funny because Kramer was also the original like, he was, like just him sliding in and just such a classic opening that door. Like, I mean, you know, it sucks obviously what happened later in Michael Richards' life. We'll get to that. But like, he was just that quintessential TV character.
He was your annoying neighbor that set up all the other annoying neighbors.
But you loved to hate him and you loved him. And like, he was just the original stir of the pot. Like he stirred the pot. Like you knew he was going to do something that was going to mess everything up. It was like a domino game.
But you loved it.
You loved it.
Mm-hmm.
Friends dealt with death. Okay. Did Seinfeld ever deal with death? Well, maybe they did. But
I think
whenever Mr. Heckles died, their neighbor that was always naked.
Don't you remember when he finally?
They inherited stuff from Mr. Heckles, and Chandler has like an existential crisis in that episode. And for me, a little kid who was always having an existential crisis, I needed to see that. Okay, the way that Jerry dealt with death was like, oh, he went to a funeral and he was sad because a girl at the funeral didn't like want his number. Okay,
and Ross's Nana died.
Does that not happen in real life?
Well,
but sorry, Jerry.
Do those people not exist?
Or like when Ross and they all went to Ross's Nana's funeral and he fell into the grave.
Yeah, but you
like,
guys,
that was funny.
But then when did they go to the Hamptons and then George gets caught with his penis shrinked and he's like, it's shrinkage. I mean, like these classic funny moments that they created TV for me. Like they honestly, I wanted to be a stand-up from
I'm just
the show.
saying Friends was able to do the real stuff and the goofy stuff. They did all the stuff that Seinfeld did.
But they didn't do the grounded stuff.
Sentimental. Yes, they did.
Not as well. There wasn't that sort of like intelligent
Chandler
riff to it.
And Ross was a paleontologist.
Hardly. I mean,
Chandler was, could have been a stand-up comedian, but he wasn't. He had a real job.
Also,
I mean,
Friends
they
just had more love.
You guys, it was a little less grounded. Like they had a duck. You know what I mean?
Was hilarious.
They had a duck.
What?
They had a monkey
had a
too.
duck.
They were animal rights.
Yeah.
They were all about animals. They were giving animals representation on TV. That's amazing.
I mean, I don't know. We need to do an episode
I will
about
say
that.
the fans for Friends around the world, there's like much more buzz.
International
Buzz for
and
Friends.
And the resurgence.
Well, let's go. Let's keep it going. Let's go
Where
facts
are they now?
Okay.
versus hot takes. You know what I mean? No, let's go let's give them some numbers. We can talk all we want, but let's check the receipts. Okay,
Yeah.
This is facts versus hot takes. Let's
I'd
go.
love to.
Bring out the numbers.
Bring out the numbers. Seinfeld was the most watched show on TV ever. It stayed in the top 5 of the Nielsen ratings, which was a thing we used to have. We don't really have that anymore.
We don't use a Nielsen no more?
We don't. Not
Who is
really.
Nielsen?
Oh, I've been checking Nielsen. Who number one in Nielsen?
No, they don't really do it
You're
anymore because
checking
there's so much
Nielsen?
streaming.
I thought it was Newman.
Oh, well, interesting because Friends, I'm looking at my report here.
Yeah.
Technically more popular because it had more consistency with its high ratings across the run that Seinfeld did.
Well,
so
they
it was
had a
more
shorter
consistent.
and Seinfeld had 9 seasons, and Friends had 10.
Oh, sorry, one more season.
And the finale got 76.3 million views.
Well, Friends is way more
that's
popular
insane.
today.
Yeah, it's way more popular, and it had 20 to 25.
We're not talking about
views
longevity
per
yet. We're
episode.
talking about actual
Well, we're
facts
talking
of
about
when it was
longevity.
on.
Well, we're talking about
Well,
longevity.
it was the number one show in its last season.
Yeah.
It was the number one show in the last season.
So was Seinfeld. So I feel like
And
they're
that's
both.
a lot of people for people that are not watching a consistent
But
storyline.
how many people
got
are
50%
how many people
more.
are on TikTok and doing Chandler Bing inspired outfits?
Absolutely
Nobody's doing
this.
that.
I
I don't even know what
Somebody's
that
doing
is, Alyssa.
Okay, there are like hot girls on TikTok making fashion videos of like their Chandler Bing inspired outfits. That is freaking.
That's
you can't
also
do that.
you can find any weird shit
No,
that you want.
no,
I mean,
no, no.
blazers
TikTok.
are class. The way they dress in Seinfeld is like literally the way people dress.
That's what
No,
we're dressing right now,
but
yeah.
the
Not
fashion, the fashion in Friends. Don't even get me started. But the fashion in Friends was revolutionary.
Was it?
And the
Yes.
the wardrobe and the costume department of Friends.
It's true.
Is amazing.
Okay, I'll give
you
you-
said was it?
I'll give you
And I was being serious.
I'm
Like,
wearing
was
a
it?
Friends
Like,
inspired
I can't think of
outfit,
cultural
chunky
moments
necklace,
that Friends had that
cardigan,
impacted
a little
me.
mini skirt.
Okay, we can talk about this for just for a moment because Rachel was like an iconic character, and we all cut.
Y'all, I am shocked.
The outfit.
She had
Rachel
her,
haircut.
the Rachel haircut.
That's the
Rachel
only thing I
haircut.
can think of from Friends that's like iconic to
And-
me as a black man
Yeah,
living in
and
America that I can remember.
So you're
I'm being
not wearing,
serious.
you're not wearing like the stuff that Phoebe Buffay was like this eclectic. Like I think she wore a lot of Betsy Johnson, which
Yeah.
was a huge fashion designer in the 90s and like still today.
Yeah.
And like the Y2K, but she was rocking these like long dresses with like crazy patterns. It
And
was like a Miss
boots.
Frizzle.
Okay,
Miss
it's fair.
Frizzle
Yeah,
vibe.
and then Rachel was
That
like,
paints the
there-
picture.
yeah, but
Miss
there was-
Frizzle paints
Rachel
the
was like
picture.
wearing a lot of basics, which is like kind of come
Okay.
back,
but making
like,
them
you
look
know.
amazing.
And then also her hairdresser years later admitted that he was high when he cut her hair, when he gave her that iconic
So many
haircut.
V-necks. I
Everybody
feel like V-neck
wanted
sweater, V-neck shirt,
Allegedly.
white tees.
everybody wanted to
A lot
get the
of cute
Rachel
basics.
haircut. Are you? There's nobody that wanted the Jerry Seinfeld
Wait,
haircut.
no,
'Cause they
nobody
all have
wanted
them
it.
now.
Yeah, yeah. By the
Huh?
way, did you notice that Jennifer Aniston never puts her hair behind her ears? She always does this.
Why? Because she had a facelift?
No, like she just hates her ears. She hates her ears. She talk about how. so
Well, and she had
always
those
does this.
beautiful
Oh, that's
bangs.
Yeah.
And it's all coming back. Okay.
Well, okay, so to wrap that up,
Let's
Netflix
go through it.
has made Friends the most binge show of all time, which I mean, you cannot argue with that.
No, it's a
That's
binger.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's like literally, absolutely, certifiably.
you can't
nuts.
compete with that.
I mean, they're all stars
Is it
now.
on Netflix
Jerry
still?
Seinfeld is still, comedians getting coffee in cars, incredible. Like he's still doing amazing specials. Larry David, hello, Curb Your Enthusiasm, which is basically Seinfeld 2.0.
Yep.
One of the best shows on TV, continues to live on forever and ever. Jason Alexander's in a million movies. Julia Louis-Dreyfus. I mean, did you guys watch? Was it Tuesday?
You mean Veep?
No, the movie that she just came out
Both.
with.
Oh,
I
No
saw
to
the
both.
trailer for
Oh
it.
my God, with a bird.
It looks
I wanted to
really
make fun of it,
sad.
but it's really good.
It is.
Yeah, and of course Veep. Oh my God,
Yeah,
fucking Veep.
that is
Like,
an
how can I
amazing
go
show.
over that?
But I mean, don't
I've
even get me
never
started.
seen
Like
Veep.
the Friends where they're now like Jennifer
Yeah.
Aniston,
Yeah.
huge star.
Iconic.
She's in a movie, you're gonna see it.
she's
And
played
she-
herself every show she's
and
ever
she's
been in
perfect. She doesn't
until
need
the
to play
morning.
anybody else.
Until
Have
the morning
you seen
show.
Leprechaun?
I have.
Okay.
No.
And
What's
then
your favorite?
that-
What's your
she
favorite
hates that
Jennifer
credit.
Aniston?
My
movie?
favorite Jennifer Aniston
Can you
movie
actually name 5
is
Jennifer Aniston movies just in
Yeah.
general,
Easy.
actually?
She
Because I
can-
haven't
Yeah.
seen anything
Picture
Jennifer Aniston is
perfect.
in
Just
it.
go with it. Rumor has it. Kevin Costner, hot as heck. Kevin Costner and Jennifer Aniston.
You would love Kevin Costner.
Oh my Bad
I
Bosses.
love Kevin Costner and Jennifer Aniston together. He hooked up with her mom and grandma, and then she hooks up. It's a great movie. You
Wait,
gotta
what's the
see
one with
it.
Vince Vaughn where they
Oh
break
yeah,
up?
the breakup.
Oh,
The breakup and then
Yeah.
Bad Boss.
Yeah, horrible bosses.
Horrible
She's so
Bosses,
hot in
that's
that.
what it
She's
is, yeah.
amazing. So
All
there
the
you go.
Adam
There's
Sandler
5.
ones.
Yeah, and then Courtney Cox, obviously in Scream, and
Oh
you
my
know,
God,
Courtney
she's
Cox,
so funny online.
Cougar
I
Town.
love her. She's
And
so good.
obviously Lisa Kudrow had the
The
greatest
Comeback.
show of all time, The Comeback, which
Ugh,
is one of the greatest
goosebumps.
shows of all time.
Also
Lisa
was a
Kudrow,
groundling. That's
an
where
amazing comedic actress. Romy and Michelle's High School Reunion. That
Oh my
movie
God.
defined me.
literally Alyssa and I met at the groundling.
Yes. And then Matthew Perry was in some amazing movies that I wouldn't have ever seen had it not been for Friends. The
Oh my
Whole
God.
9 Yards, an incredible film. Wasn't he in a movie with Salma Hayek?
Yeah, what's that one?
Ru-
With they're like they meet in Vegas and it's like
Well, The Whole 9
Unlikely
Yards is a great movie. It's about contract killer,
Yeah,
moves
so
in
good.
next door. Matthew Perry plays a
I've never
suicidal
seen one of
dentist.
these
Perfect
Not
role
one.
for him.
That
Perfect role
mentioned
for
by the way,
him.
there's probably not one black person in any of these
David
movies.
I'm like, I haven't even heard of some of
David
these
Schwimmer-
movies that
I
y'all are
was
really
talking
having
about.
a comeback.
David Schwimmer was on OJ.
OJ, yep. The
But-
other crime one. What's the other crime one? Oh, the Kardashian one.
He was he played
Yeah.
Robert Kardashian. He was also in a movie with Harrison Ford called 6 Days, 7 Nights. I highly recommend watching it. He plays kind of a cuck of a husband. He's amazing in it. It's more like Harrison Ford and Anne Heche that are kind of stranded
Oh,
on an
I know.
island.
God.
And David Schwimmer's there, and he's great. We love him.
But you know what? They're going to be Ross and Rachel and Monica
It's Ross and
Jerry
Rachel.
Elaine. They're going to be these characters for
Yeah.
us forever because
Yeah.
they're legendary. They're, like their legacy will live on forever. And I'm so glad that we got to like live when it was first on and
Totally.
get to say
It
like,
is
oh my
to
God,
grow
yeah,
up
to
with
grow
these
up with
shows.
it.
To
Yeah.
grow up
Sorry,
and to
Courtney.
Well,
It's
to
okay.
have
I had Will and Grace, guys. It's okay.
well, to have like our identity was a little bit shaped by these shows.
That's crazy.
We went, yeah.
That's
no, but it's
crazy.
true.
It was a little
Look
bit.
at us. Like the three of us are really a combination of
I
these
can
two
tell.
shows
Yeah.
together. And like, and you know, we
not
took.
not in a shady way, but like
No.
y'all are so passionate about this. But the way that y'all feel about these shows, is the way
It's
I
like
feel
if we
about
talked
Will
about
and
Nicki
Grace.
Minaj, you'd
No,
be
it's a
like
way. If y'all
flipping the
talk about
table
Will
over.
like if we were talking about Will and Grace, I would have something to say about every single thing.
Right.
But
Well, we need to
Will
know
and
what
Grace
we
came
need to
We'll do
after
Will and
these
Grace.
shows.
We need to
Yeah,
do
like
Will
what
and Grace.
And
episode?
because of these shows, I got a show that I could relate to, which is
That
Will and
is
Grace.
true, I
Because it's
think.
literally gay Seinfeld.
It is gay
It is
Seinfeld.
gay.
I
Wait,
mean, the
say,
lesbian
say why you
version.
think that, because I feel
I
like
think
you had some
I
good
think it's gay
takes.
Seinfeld because all of the character archetypes I could find in Will and Grace, like Kramer is Jack, Elaine is like kind of like trying to be like Grace, and like it's like a puzzle that fits together when I watch Seinfeld. That's how I can connect to it. Is I can be like, oh, this reminds me of.
Right.
And Will and Grace had black people. Shout out to Tay Diggs.
Yeah.
Oh, Tay Diggs.
That's
We
Well,
did.
Friends had black people. Ross
Yeah, Ross
dated.
had a girlfriend.
Ross had a black girlfriend.
Guys.
I'm sorry.
I'm
Okay,
curious for
Friends, do better.
I'm curious about Gen Z. If like you're rewatching Seinfeld and Friends, like what do you prefer and why? Obviously, problematic things in both because they were done in the 90s and people weren't like as good then.
We weren't.
We're much better now, and yeah, the diversity thing is.
But
an
yeah, for the
issue.
time.
But,
I
but
mean,
who do you
Fri-
prefer?
who do
Like
you
now
prefer?
rewatching, if you didn't grow up with it, like what do you think?
I want to talk a little bit more about the resurgence that Friends had. I don't know if we've ever really seen a show that it was obviously, it came out in the 90s. It was very, very popular when it came out, which was amazing to see. And then obviously they were getting paid a ton of money for those episodes. But then,
Oh, yeah.
like, it had this huge comeback, like years and years later, that was like almost just as big as it was in the 90s. Like, I don't know if we've ever seen that. And I think that it's because of the way that these characters were written and how you just fall in love with them and you relate to them. And like, yeah, it obviously had its problems. It's problematic in some areas, but it's like at the heart of it, people are watching, they're just rooting for these like, I don't know. And like I said, these Oscar performances, in my opinion, it's incredible acting. And like,
No, but it's like a wine spritzer. You know what I mean? You're not ever going to really say no to it. It's like,
It's
just
also bingeable TV.
It's bingeable,
Like
yeah.
at a time when that wasn't really the case. Like you can pop in and there's so much physical comedy. You know these characters. Like it has the lightness and the depth that you're talking about.
Yeah, it's like a
People
little
just
bit of cry
relate it.
porn, but it's not
when
as
you
deep
feel,
as like
whenever I was watching this as a little girl, I remember like I genuinely was like, these are my friends.
No, it is. It
And
makes you
then
feel like you
when
know
I
them.
yeah, and now when I watch it, I still feel that way. That's why it's like, that's what's so powerful about it, because it's like, for me, like a millennial, obviously, like I'm just obsessed because I grew up with it. But then even people that didn't grow up with it and are getting into it, I think they probably feel the same way.
Because that's what we want out of TV. We want to feel like we know these people. Like, look at all the people that are huge, like the Oprahs, and like we know them. We know about their life. Like
Martha Stewart.
Oh my God, the documentary.
Oh my
so
God.
good.
We need to talk
but like
about that.
that's the problem with
Martha.
TV now. Like they don't want to invest in anything. Like if something doesn't do well right away, they'll pull it off TV.
Yeah.
Like this, like Friends was popular, but not right away, you guys. Like I told you, the pilot was like received very badly.
Yeah.
And like I wish that shows could breathe that same way. But like so cool that we have this package show now that can come. Even
I have a
Seinfeld kind of
question.
came back.
I have a question for everybody at the table. Sorry, everybody. Why do you like Friends and Seinfeld, both iconic? We've agreed. We've gone through it, but why do we think that so many shows that came out around that time all got reboots and those two didn't?
Well, you can't.
That's interesting.
It's hard
Because
to.
they're so popular. There's a resurgence.
I
They're back. We're
know.
dressing like them.
Maybe
Maybe
What do you
because
mean, like-
because it was done right.
Well, and actually, I think
Because I think about like Full House, like how
Yeah.
Will
Well,
and
the
Grace had a
Friends
long ass
cast,
stretch, and they
said
came back.
they wouldn't do it because they were like
Yeah.
they wanted to protect
What
that's
it
why they did a
was.
reunion instead.
Yeah.
Because they were like, we can't possibly recreate like what
Yeah,
we did, and we
right.
never would want to destroy that. Also, like we said, it has this crazy resurgence. Gen Z loves it. Urban Outfitters, like one of you
You
were
can
saying
get a Friends
earlier, like
sweatshirt.
have a Friends sweatshirt, have that style, like Y2K is
Because we're
making
kind of
it come
coming
back.
back. We're kind of coming back
Yeah.
to that time where like the way they dress is cool,
Absolutely.
and like the way that
Oh, yeah.
the way life is really simple is cool. Like
We
they
don't
have-
need to modernize
They have
it.
phones,
Mhm.
yeah. Like they call each other. They know each other's phone numbers. Like they play games. They go out to a bar. They walk. Like I think there was also like let's look at the time too. Like think about
Yeah.
why we needed that show at that time, right? Like the '90s was this like. I don't know. It's just this perfect. I love it. Let's go back. Let's just all go
Yeah.
back to the
I also
90s.
there's like a huge Gen Z thing about how not having cell phones and how that like is
We didn't have social
calming
media.
and peaceful for them. Like they're like,
Yeah.
it's literally stressful now. Like the earth is deteriorating and it's stressful. Like let's go back to a time when it's like we just wore jeans and a tee and like sang Smelly Cat.
And that's why,
in
like,
a
yeah, think about like,
It's a
and
simpler
also the
time.
way that they were neighbors, like in Seinfeld and Friends, they were all kind of neighbors. And
Yeah.
I think that people
Community.
don't have that community anymore. And so when you watch it on TV, it feels like, oh, okay, Joey's coming over and I made jam for him.
I want that. I miss that.
And we don't have that because, but
Yeah.
I love whenever my friends are like, hey, Alyssa, I'm in the neighborhood. And I'm like, come on in and I will have jam.
Yeah.
Because I like jam.
I love jam.
Come
One time
on
I
in.
stopped by
I'll FaceTime
Alyssa.
you midday.
I
Alyssa made
will.
me a full breakfast.
Yeah.
I just stopped by eggs,
So nice.
toast with jam. I think you made bacon.
Oh yeah, I made bacon.
love
yeah,
bacon.
but we need more of that. And I
Yeah.
think that the way that everybody's just like, not to say it, but everybody's on their phones. Which I hope you're on your phone watching this episode. but you got to log off every now and then and go over to your friend's house and make jam.
Yeah, or like,
Yeah.
like complain to your friend about like cutting in line.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah.
mean?
Go to the diner with your friend. Get a cup of Joe.
Eat soup.
Get
Eat
soup from the guy that
soup.
makes soup hard to order.
Dance even though you're not really good at it.
Yeah.
So no
You know?
reboot because it's both series are perfectly imperfect. For
I
the time,
think
for the time that they
so.
were
I think
created.
I think
so.
that's what makes them perfect is that they are exactly what they like. You don't want to change it.
I want to ask the audience, do you guys feel like Seinfeld or Friends could have a reboot during this time that we all live in? Please let us know in the comments and let us know what those shows would be like today.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also, sorry, this is not closing thought, but I remember when it came out in Brazil. Like when I went back, it had just come out, and people like would be binging it and having people over to like watch it like as if it was a new show. And it was, I think the reason it had such international success is because we all romanticize America so much, and it was the quintessential American dream to like have a job and live in the city and like have
be
friends.
with your friends.
Get
Yeah,
some-
and like be
Yeah.
attractive and like be young. Like, so I think that's why it had such a good hit, like in
I
other
do
countries.
feel like, in other countries, learning English, like you
Yeah.
said before, like also after Friends came out, there were like a bunch of Friends-like shows in like India and
Yeah.
all of these places because they're like, oh, this is a model that people want to see. They want
right.
Friends
That's
post-college, trying to figure it out. Like it kind of
And
broke the mold.
It can't be redone. Those things are so magical. Think about like when you get cast in a show, like not everybody gets along. Like the fact that they all like
Yeah, they're
remained
friends.
actual friends.
know.
Yeah,
until,
actually,
I mean,
yeah.
until Matthew Perry just passed away, like, we are all looking to them, like, how do they react to that? They all
They're
stayed
all
so
best
true to each other.
friends.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how Jerry and all that, but Jerry had that controversy where like they wanted to do one more episode and they all said no and they were all mad at Jerry, right? Because they were going to make like
yeah.
millions of dollars. So it's so cool that they all remain
It was
friends.
real and it was
Yeah.
genuine.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of a bummer because Michael Richards was like just the most incredible stand-up. I looked up to him so much, and I was actually there the night that he did stand-up at the Comedy Store before he had like that horrible
Oh no.
Not the
rant.
controversy thing.
Yeah. But let's just like move past that.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah. We
well,
can't take
I will
responsibility of all
say
that.
I think that I learned how to I thought with Friends, I just want to add one more thing. Like there was an episode where Rachel is like mad that Monica is like friends with Ross's new girlfriend and she's like doesn't want her to do that. And like the way that they handled conflict was really important for me to see. I saw it modeled because I didn't really see anybody handling conflict properly in my house. And that's why like these shows were so important for me to see
Yeah.
that. And then the way that like, Monica was like, well, you can't be mad at me. Like I have to be nice to her. And she's like, okay, I love you. Like, and I just think it's like, not to get too deep with it, but seeing them like deal with like problems and then come back together and yeah.
I think that's for both shows.
A positive
Like,
resolution.
I love it, you guys. I'm glad that we got to go through these shows
Yeah, it's
as they were
fun.
I
live
love
on
them
TV.
both.
Me
Yeah.
too. I love them both.
They're
I do
good.
watch Seinfeld a lot. It like
Yeah.
lulls me
Yeah.
to sleep. at
Me too. I
night.
like it
Yeah.
in the background. Like it's familiar. And then I forget stuff and I'm like, oh my God, I completely forgot. Like some of the subject matter is like, I don't think I understood
It's
as
also
a kid.
it's like a fun time capsule too because Jerry will tell jokes about like caller ID.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What's
I've
a deal
noticed.
with these voice
And then
messages?
if you're watching it nowadays, you can be like, wow, what's caller ID? And you can learn about history watching.
Also,
these
did you
shows.
know that like a lot of old folks home will put on Seinfeld and Friends because the laugh lines are so
Cathartic.
and distinct that
Yeah.
like people don't need to necessarily like understand the shows to
They'll
know when
know
to
where to
laugh.
laugh.
I
And
love
I'm like,
that.
what a beautiful thing that is for both these
I
shows that are
know.
so physical and like.
I
yeah.
wish I
Should
had a
we
laugh
do?
track.
Yeah, I was gonna say, should we do one last line for everybody, and then
Yeah.
you guys can add a laugh track?
What? Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I wish.
Are we adding a laugh track?
No, they'll add it that week. So
Y'all-
just say like
Oh,
one line,
yeah.
and then they'll
Yeah, y'all should
add
do
it.
that,
Yes.
Actually.
You know, it's like
That'd
that
be
time
cute.
Your
I
catchphrase.
slipped.
Your
you know, yeah,
catchphrase.
your catchphrase.
Oh, I don't have a catchphrase.
Okay, let's think about
Okay.
one.
That's
No, do it.
Do it.
that's what's in my cup.
Okay.
Like my mom always said, keep it wet.
Okay.
See, they don't have
Mine
to make
would be-
sense.
mine would be like,
yeah.
You're gonna put that where?
Okay, what's yours?
No tears, just tea.
I like that. And with that, final thoughts, everybody.
Well, I can't even, like, I know I have to do this quick, but Friends is the greatest show of all time because I don't think there's ever been a show where me personally, I'm like literally obsessed with every single character. I love them all so much. I would die for all of them. And that is some really intense emotional attachment that I have to these characters. Every episode is just like spot on. The B story in each episode is just as good as the A story. And I don't know. I've based a lot of my personality on Phoebe Buffay. I love you so much, Lisa Kudrow.
Okay, my closing argument is this. Friends is the greatest show of all time because it lives through the test of time. Everyone all over the world is loving Friends to this day in its current state with all the problems that it has. And it's just, I'm sorry, the funniest show. And if you're a woman and if you're a feminist, you will also agree that Friends is the greatest show.
And even if you're just a hot guy who likes hot women, you'll love it too.
You could be a regular looking dude.
If you're a
too.
Or a
chef,
regular
if you're
looking
an
guy.
actor, if you're a paleontologist,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you're advertising for Chandler.
Yeah.
Okay, you know what? I started this whole thing really fighting for Seinfeld, but lately I've been going through this thing where I realized that starting in stand-up in the late or early 2000s, it was a very toxic all-male environment. So I feel like I just kind of was pushed to like that show because I was supposed to. And even though I love it and I think it's brilliant and I love Curb Your Enthusiasm, even though I've auditioned for it many times and never got a role in it, I'm going to move over to the Friends side because
Okay.
I feel like as an immigrant, it made a really big impression on me. And now that we're talking about it, the moments just feel more tender to me. And they
got her.
feel, I don't know, they feel like they were
got her.
more driving towards me. I don't know. I'm sorry, Courtney,
Not the
but
tender moment.
I'm just a Monica. Yeah, I just thought they were hot and I wanted to be them. It was very confusing. And so I'm going to go over to the Friends side. I can't believe it.
Amen.
Gasp.
But if there's another Curb and you guys want me in it, like I'm down.
Seinfeld and Friends, right? Both cute shows. Both shows leave me asking, where are the black people at? So for me, although I can appreciate both shows, the winner for me today will have to be Will and Grace. A show that came after both Friends and Seinfeld, but a show that I personally connect with. Like, am I going to be like a gay lawyer? Am I going to be an interior designer? Am I going to be unemployed? Am I going to be rich and drunk? Who knows? But either way, I have fun with that show.
Wow.
I appreciate that. I love that you
Okay.
chose a thing we weren't even talking about.
No, because
Damn
you know
right.
what? Without those, like they're the
Yeah, you wouldn't
parents
have
of
Will
your
and Grace
baby.
without
Exactly.
Seinfeld.
I have a love-hate relationship with stand-up, and I love Seinfeld. And even though I went over to the Friends side, I have to acknowledge that Seinfeld was the most iconic show of all time.
Well, and ultimately, like me hearing Seinfeld not get a lot of love made me be like, wait, I love Seinfeld.
Exactly. I'm
There is
sorry.
no funnier episode to me than whenever George goes to the video store to try to rent a movie. It's already like someone has the movie, and then George like goes to that person's house.
It's in the wrong box.
to watch the movie
Yeah.
with that family. That to me is like, first of all, that's perfect '90s video stores. Like,
Yeah.
it's everything. Because I remember going to the movie, like trying to rent a movie, and it was like, oh, it's already like rented. That is the
Oh my
perfect. That's
God.
a perfect plot for a
Heartbreaking
show.
moment.
And
Yeah.
so for that episode alone,
the
I do have to give
simplicity of the
Seinfeld.
90s. It does highlight the simplicity
Yeah,
of the
it's
90s.
such a perfect
Like,
episode.
It is, all the episodes were perfect. Like, not to get dorky about Harold, but like it sort of set up how like a perfect Harold episode should
Yeah.
be.
And
Where
if you don't know what a herald is.
Yes. Oh yeah. So it's a long form improv game where you play. There's 4 scenes, hopefully. 3 or 4 if you do it
3.
right.
3.
Yeah, and then at the end, it all sort of like wraps up in a way where all the scenes kind of come together. Am I doing a bad job?
Yeah, no. It's
Explaining
an improv format that like makes a story easy, and you have A, B, C plots and things like that. But it's true. The writing on Seinfeld and Friends was pretty iconic, and it's like both of them still like stand the test of time, like are so
It's like perfect
still.
TV.
Yeah, it's perfect TV.
It's perfect TV. Like nothing really is the same. Like you can like go through it and there's like probably a joke per every 2 minutes or per minute. Like
Oh yeah. You're just laughing the whole time.
So let us know who you think won. Friends, Seinfeld, Will and Grace. is a third option, actually.
Period.
A secret third option.
Yeah, we want to know what you think. Who did you relate to more? Are you like Alyssa? Can you tear up talking about some of those Friends moment? Are you like Jade at the beginning of the episode? Die Hard stand up. Those jokes are iconic. Let us know what you think. Also, like and subscribe.
we need
Please
you.
like and subscribe.
We've got a lot of really cool episodes coming.
Oh,
so
yes.
check us out.
Yeah, and let us know what you want to hear rivaled out.
Yeah.
And hopefully our episodes will stand the test of time and they'll internationally be aired.
I think
Right?
so.
Those are
I
really
do
good.
believe so.
I hope you use this to learn English.
I hope you learn.
Yeah.
I hope when an alien comes down, he watches this and he knows about TV because of us.
Yeah.
And if you had any other ideas for episodes of Rivals, please leave them in the comments as well.
We love nostalgia. I know you guys do too. I mean, we're like living in this 90s era. If you love this episode, make sure you check out our old episode of VH1 versus MTV. Nothing gets better than that one. And yeah, let us know if there's other stuff you want to talk about, you know? It's right here. Click this. It's not clickbait, we swear.